Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now. Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the new home of power mining analysis. Well, it appears the Bitcoin stocks have found a bottom in trading today after a tough session on both Monday and Tuesday. We'll talk about that in today's video, but primarily we're going to be talking about the official launch of our Q4 Miner Madness Bitcoin stock selection competition. Now, this is a great opportunity to have some fun, stack up your top 3 miner picks against your favorite analysts in the community, and give out a price target or prediction for year-end Bitcoin price. Now, in today's video, we're going to be sharing overall stats and metrics that we've gathered from this process, top analyst picks in your favorite community, and of course, Anthony and I's own pick in today's video. Now, before we get into all that, please take a second, smash the like button, guys. Big help to myself and the channel. Anthony absolutely loves it. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join. And let us know in the comments section below how you're feeling about your picks compared to the analysts, your overall sentiment towards the Bitcoin mining sector as a whole, and your price target for Bitcoin towards the end of 2024. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Well, here we have it, guys. Wednesday morning, October 2nd, a nice little rebound in the Bitcoin mining sector this morning. Anthony, you and I were both making some purchases in terms of stocks. Today, seems some life is coming back into the miners, and we're seeing that green bounce just as we predicted with Freedom and his slight pullback over the last few days. I'll bring up a mid-morning market update, Anthony. Then we can get into our Miner Madness competition. But nice to see a little bit of green shoots, as you would say, after a tough Monday, Tuesday in the sector.
Yeah, just a few green shoots today. I mean, the market's still volatile today. It looks like it's dropping back. As soon as we say it's going up, it's going back down now. So it's just 61,300 at the moment as we speak. Most of the miners are actually in green, but there's a few now turned to red. They were all green sort of about 2 hours ago. So any sort of as I say, I don't pay too much attention when the market's like this because we've gone through this for quite a few years now, and we have this volatility. But I'm looking forward to getting through October, and if we do what we've done in previous years when September's been a positive month, we should see some positives in the next 3 months. So looking forward to seeing that happen.
Yeah, for sure. You and I both, it seems we've been waiting for quite some time for Bitcoin to make that next leg up in its journey towards all-time highs. And a lot of people anticipating that Q4 is going to be the time when that happens. Now, Anthony, the focal point of today's presentation is really around our Q4 stock selection trading competition, Miner Madness. So this was a brainchild of yourself. We actually only came up with this one, I think, last week or maybe the week before. It's really taken off, got some legs of its own. Hundreds of applicants now. We've received prizing offers, sponsorship offers. Many of the miners actually wanting to contribute swag towards their top selections or towards the investors that are supporting their company. We're going to go through some of the metrics, analyst predictions, even share your and I selection in today's video, Anthony. But before we do, can you talk to us a little bit about the spirit of this competition, where you came up with this idea, and really the goal of this community endeavor?
Yeah, it's something I wanted to do a while back. I mean, I know people do these like golf fantasy leagues and football fantasy leagues, and there's a lot of it orientated around sport. And I just wanted to get something that people in the space, the retail investors predominantly, get them interested in a bit of competitiveness between now and the end of the year. A nice quarter because we've seen mining stocks pull back a little bit, and we've noticed people moving away from the space a little bit there. And this competition gives us the opportunity, or gives all retail investors opportunity to have and see what they can predict compared to some of the analysts in the space. And that's like, Sebastian, DR and A-Trade and Freedom, Bitcoin Bella, Bitcoin mining guys, he's put his and he's got the mining mafia. So he's put his predictions in there. You and I have put our predictions as well. So it's all for a bit of fun. And because there's a lot of entries, very very similar, we've asked people to sort of highlight the Bitcoin price as well, which then can be used as a sort of tiebreaker to see who's not only got the three right picks, but actually got closest to the Bitcoin mining price at the end of the year. We've had hundreds and hundreds of selections through, and they've come through on all types of media. And we've had members of the team been dragging these and put them into one spreadsheet. The closing price on September the 30th for each of the stocks and the Bitcoin price will be used as a starting point, and then we'll monitor that as we go through. So we'll have these spreadsheets linked to live share pricing, and we'll sort of update every couple of weeks, maybe, and show the top 10, 15 people who are doing well in the rankings there, and give them a bit of a spotlight for that there as we get closer. We'll continue to do that more regularly, because I know there'll be a lot of interest in this competition. We also will be putting out updates on the newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, make sure you go in and subscribe to the newsletter. It's on the website. So Power Mining Analysis website is the link in the podcast here. So go and do that, and then you can see some of those tables coming through with the people out there who've selected the right miners. But we'll go through in a bit more detail the selections there. But I thought it was a good way just to bring people together, get a bit of interest in there whilst we're waiting for this Bitcoin price to take off. And when that takes off, we know the mining stocks are going to likely follow in that same trajectory. But I'm really pleased in the space of 5 days how much interest we've received, and this has come from. We've even got people from mining companies have entered the competition. So that's interesting to see. Not under pseudonyms, but they're in there. So it's all good fun. But that's all it is. It's fun. This is not about look what Anthony and Bryce have done. That's what I should be buying. This is about, just a bit of fun, a bit of competition there, just to keep us interested for the next 3 months.
Most definitely. And some contrarian picks among the entries as well, Anthony. A lot of people saying, hey, I can't go with the herd mentality. I need to switch it up if I have any chance of winning. So you're right in saying that Bitcoin price will be the tiebreaker. Now, you referred to some of these slides. So we've got a number of great slides put together by our team for today's podcast. The first one I wanted to talk about, Anthony, is the top 10 overall picks. And this can really be the foundation of the rest of the discussion here. So in first place, 22.65% had IREN as one of their top three picks. Second place, CleanSpark, just shy of 18%. Bitfarms, north of 9%, Anthony. So you've actually referred to Bitfarms coming up over and over, time and time again, in these type of challenges over the last few years. Now, in addition to that, CIFR and Riot have moved up into fourth and fifth place over the last few days. This is actually updated since Friday of last week. Digital gave up a position, and Marathon crept into seventh. Now, behind that, we've got the Wulf Pack, Core Scientific, which was actually one of your selections, falling into ninth, and Soluna, which is another one we cover quite frequently on the channel, a smaller miner, making the top 10 list. So first and foremost, Anthony, what is your analysis of this top 10 list? Any surprises, standouts, in your opinion?
No, I mean we know that the updates that IREN and CleanSpark have been pushing out over the last sort of 18 months, as they've both grown to significant self-mining companies. And that's got a lot of interest there. I did a poll last year, and the top three in order were CleanSpark, IREN, Bitfarms, and now we're seeing IREN take over that lead this year. CleanSpark in second, but Bitfarms remain in that top three. And Bitfarms actually remained in the top three of all the polls I've done going back to 2021. So they're the only miner to constantly be in that top three. And we know there's been a lot of positivity. Ben Gagnon, the CEO of Bitfarms, got a lot of fans out there in the retail shareholder market. They were very pleased to see him be appointed as CEO. We've seen some of the great things that have come out since that appointment there, with the finalization of that purchase with Stronghold, with another site in Pennsylvania. And, it's all positive news. And they've announced that they're going to achieve 21 by the end of the year in terms of hash rate and double that for next year. So 2025 is going to be a doubling year for Bitfarms. So they hopefully get to 42 by the end of the year. And that certainly keeps them in that top bracket there. We did say, if you go back months and months ago, Bryce, I think we sort of said that the top tier had sort of like moved up, and we were looking at this 20 exahash as a sort of like, moving to that top tier. So we see, likes of Bitfarms getting close to that. But we've already got, IREN are already over 20 exahash operating. CleanSpark are certainly well over 20 exahash. Riot have certainly got over 20 exahash, or 23 exahash plugged in, and we expect to see that increase when they bring their update out this week. And we've got Jason on the podcast tomorrow, so he'll be able to sort of highlight the changes that have occurred in the last 30 days. From that company, Marathon are well over 30 exahash, and Core Scientific have been over 20 exahash as the miner who've produced the most Bitcoin since records began for public miners. So they're about 10,000 Bitcoin ahead of the next rival, which is actually Marathon Digital. So Marathon have got a lot of catching up to do to get to that total. But you can see there that there's 5 miners now, and by the end of the year, going to be certainly in that top tier from a self-mining perspective. And that holds really well for next year, because these miners are looking to grow significantly. Now, one of those Core Scientific is obviously looking to grow their business, their HPC business next year, while still maintaining, an improvement on the efficiency of the current fleet. But the other 4 miners are looking to grow significantly. So these picks here, you can see how some of them sort of have reached out and decided on the likes of IREN and CleanSpark. IREN have had some great updates this year. CleanSpark also been buying sites, growing hash rate as predicted. Both of those will get to their target. The only interesting one on there, and it's not from my perspective, because I do have some of these shares in my pension, is Soluna. Soluna's started to become a really popular miner. There's people, a lot obviously reading into the presentations that John and the team have been pushing out there, looking at these smaller projects, and really, really looking to increase their business opportunities. They have a massive pipeline of energy when they put these projects together, and they do them all sort of on a sort of smaller base compared to some of the miners, but they're doing more and more of these smaller base. When I say smaller, talking like 30, 50 megawatts, but now they've got a couple of projects that are over 100 megawatts that they're looking to put together. So they're starting to grow that way. So maybe people are looking into this one there. Certainly, I think if we'd had another pick, Soluna might have crept in as my 4th pick there. So interesting to see those in there. Core Scientific at 9th. Well, is that because people think some of their share price at the moment has the built-in revenues that they're going to achieve next year? I'm not quite sure about that, because I was fortunate to be speaking with a number of analysts at the weekend, some of the Wall Street analysts, and I was asking them about how they factor some of these technology companies in terms of valuation. And generally, on a tech company, you're looking at sort of like P ratio of about 20x. So if you look at the net earnings of a company and say it's $1 million, if you were to value that company as a tech company, you could say it had a value of $20 million because it's delivering $1 million and the P ratio is 20x. In terms of Core Scientific, they're using a sort of like a more prudent percentage. They're using 15%. So let's use the 15% that these using. And actually, if you go back through some of the podcasts, I suggested 15% as well many, many months ago. But these analysts have said like 15%. So Core Scientific are going to deliver in the region of about $420 million a year in net profit from next year, just from the HPC business. So that average over the 12, 13 years, over 400 million. So if you were to sort of start pricing that into the share price, that gives you about 6.3 billion. And then you've got a self-mining business and a hosting business. Well, they're over 26 exahash in total hash rate. So let's give that a valuation probably close to 2 billion. And then you've got a company that sort of should be heading towards, $8.5 billion. Well, at today's price, it's, hovering just over 3 billion. So, has the market really priced that HPC in yet? I don't think it is. So, Core Scientific, that'll be interesting how that develops over these next 3 months. But certainly when we see the revenue start to appear in the early parts of 2025, that will definitely sort of give the market something to think about. But yeah, an interesting top 10. I don't think the top three totally surprise anybody because, they have people have some, favorite miners out there, and the Bitfarms certainly become a favorite with a lot of retail investors there. And we're waiting to get more updates to get them closer to achieving what they expect to achieve. The one piece of good news from Bitfarms was their efficiency for their fleet. It's now 21, so that puts them right in the top three in terms of efficient fleets, along with the likes of IREN and CleanSpark. So those top three miners have the most efficient fleets, have probably some of the highest growth this year in terms of hash rate, and probably deserve to be where they are.
Yeah, really interesting insights from this data, Anthony. Now, another highlight of the competition is the ability to compare your picks to analyst experts in the space. So, as you mentioned, we've reached out to some of the most common popular names on Twitter, on YouTube, all across social media. We've got some awesome picks. We'll start with Sebastian. He's probably been on the channel most of any of the guests, or at least the analyst guests listed here. He's come out with CleanSpark in first, IREN in second, Bitfarms in third. So very consistent with the chart we just looked at there, Anthony, and $113,000 Bitcoin price. So interestingly enough, of all of the analysts, including yourself and I, Sebastian, most bullish on Bitcoin price. What are your thoughts on this one?
So yeah, so good three picks there. I mean, consistent there. They are the three most popular miners. Interest. I mean, and I think IREN and CleanSpark are intertwined there. I think if you think about CleanSpark's price back in March, it was $24, significantly below that now. IREN also reached a high of $15.50, and that's literally half that price today. And Bitfarms also had a price over $3 as well. So they've got all those three miners have got, plenty of opportunity and growth to get to their highs in this last quarter. And like I say, I hope the Bitcoin price is right. I don't care about the competition if it gets 113,000. That'd be great for everybody. We're all winners on that at that price. So yeah, I mean it's a good three picks. No problem with that at all.
Excellent. And you're totally right on the Bitcoin price. Now, next up, we have Bitcoin Mining Stock Guy. He's probably got one of the largest communities or census pools on the internet in terms of Bitcoin mining, Anthony. A very consistent top three again, but we now see CIFR entering the mix in third place and relatively low Bitcoin price, lowest of all the analysts at 87,000. So your thoughts on CIFR and Bitcoin price there?
Yeah, I think the Bitcoin price is good. I think mine's only slightly higher than that. So that's we're on the same page there. CIFR, can't fault him for including them in the top three. And Bit Digital, well, we've spoken highly of Bit Digital all year. I don't think the market's giving them enough credit for the HPC business that they've got there, and that's growing HPC business. It wouldn't surprise me at some point in time if Bit Digital spin off the HPC as a separate sub company there, so that it can totally get the recognition for delivering, what's expected to be close to 100 million of annualized revenues a year with a great margin. So yeah, I think there's three good picks there.
Excellent. Now moving along to DR Lewis, a big Wulf Pack contributor and member. He has IREN, Bit Digital, and Wulf in third, kind of middle of the road in terms of Bitcoin price. What are your thoughts on including TeraWulf in the top three, Anthony?
Again, TeraWulf have been the surprise this year. They got rid of all that debt. It was over $100 million of debt a year ago, so they've got rid of all that debt now. The other good thing about TeraWulf is, you remember we had Patrick on the podcast. He's not giving out any hash rate targets for 2025. That's an indication that they're going to probably move towards HPC, and a gambling person waiting for an announcement on Wulf to deliver something in HPC space would probably be in a good space at the moment. I think them or CIFR could certainly announce something in the near future in terms of a contract, and IREN and Bitdigital we've already spoke about. So again, three good picks.
Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today. You're totally right. Wulf and CIFR are the wild cards, at least in my mind, with those big HPC rumors or thoughts on the horizon. Now, moving along to the second analyst slide here, Anthony, our only female analyst entry, Bitcoin Bella, Digital, CleanSpark, and Cathedra in third place. So the only person that I've seen with this entry, $96,000 Bitcoin price. What do you think of the smaller miners here, Anthony, as those wildcard plays?
It's an interesting one, and again, it wouldn't surprise me that one of the smaller miners, has a bit of a pop. Bear in mind, look at where IREN were a couple of years ago, 1.5 exahash. Now they're at 21 exahash. In just over 2 years, it's a massive change, and the share price has reflected that as well. So, again, it didn't surprise me. I was looking at maybe adding Soluna to my group. I was betwixt and between, and I went for Core Scientific instead of Soluna. So you've got to look at it's a competition. So any of these miners can do well. In fact, the ones that haven't done well year to date, or certainly since June, are the likes of some of the big ones, the Marathons, the Riot, CleanSpark, Bitfarms. And then after that, you'd be looking at IREN. So actually, if people were doing this competition for the last 3 months, all their top picks would probably be towards the bottom. So, but again, we're seeing Digital. There's a number of these analysts have got Digital in there, and again, I think it's a good selection. Bitcoin price at 96,000. Take that. That's another sort of 50% rise from where it is today. So that would be great for people owning Bitcoin, and also great for the mining stocks.
Most definitely. Now we're moving into some of the more technical analysts here. Freedom by 40 was on the channel last week, Anthony, Friday. He accurately predicted this pullback almost right to the percentage here in the last few days of trading. He's also interestingly come out with Digital in first place. He was saying he's more bullish on Ethereum pricing, actually percentage-wise, than Bitcoin right now. He's also got CleanSpark in second place, so same as Bitcoin Bella there, and swapped out IREN in third. Interesting to me, $108,000 Bitcoin price. He's generally fairly conservative in terms of his forecasts and Elliott Wave predictions. So happy to see that. And again, if we can hit 108,000, Anthony, I think any of these stocks are going to be in pretty good position. What did you think of Freedom by 40?
Yeah, good selections. Again, it's so hard. You've got probably, I'm going to say there's 8 or 9 stocks that could be in anyone's top 3. So it's quite hard. I mean, I think we might see an outsider come through this and win the competition with maybe not one of the big miners. So many people selected IREN and CleanSpark and then Bitfarms. And if they're in your predictions and somebody's come through with a Digital or a CIFR or another one that's Soluna, it's going to be really interesting watching this competition grow there and see how these miners perform. But you can't really, I can't see any of the analyst positions here. That they're all pretty strong, and like I say, a lot of these could have been interchangeable.
Now, the last two, Some and A Trades, both technical, both have IREN in first place, CleanSpark in second, and the first time we've seen Marathon make the list here, so potentially a play on that large hodl. However, San only has a $96,500 Bitcoin price target, so interesting to see two of the big hodl companies on that list, Anthony. What are your thoughts on Marathon as a pick for the competition?
It wasn't in my top three. However, it's still the biggest miner in terms of market capitalization at the moment. The issues that Mara had is more about productivity and about energy pricing, and also the fact they don't own all their sites, so they're paying a hosting fee, which costs more money and therefore impacts on margins. And then, it's like they've come up with strategy like MicroStrategy started to buy a little bit of Bitcoin, raising debt, buying Bitcoin. So, I didn't quite get that myself. I didn't quite get the asset light position either, but they've changed that around now. They're going full frontal in acquiring as many sites as they can possibly get to get to. I think they're looking for 80% of site owned by the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite surprised. Mara's quite way down the list, and when you think about the Mara pigs out there, there's quite a big group of those, but it's not translated into the retail investment. And maybe the fact that the share price has been sustained. I mean, the Mara share price got to $80 in 2021, and it's hovering around $14, $15 today. So significantly lower. Yes, they've increased their shares outstanding by 200 or 300% since that point in time. So people shouldn't be expecting the share price to get to $80. But in fact, if you look at the market capitalization in 2021, it reached 8 billion and it's only 4.5 billion today. So, with a massively more increased hash rate, I mean, it's, 35 exahash installed, operating over 32 exahash. I'm not, I'm not surprised it's not in most people's top three, because performance wise, it hasn't been great, and from a margin perspective as well. It's all about margins. I mean, Wall Street will tell you, that they're not envisaged by the current, the Bitcoin price and the impact it has on these companies. They're looking at the HPC as their conversation, because it's just limited margins. We're going to see some really dire Q3 results coming through in the next sort of month or so. When they're announced, they're going to be pretty much like the Q2, where we saw literally every miner, and it was every miner, had effectively a loss, a net loss at the end of the period.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Q3 numbers come in. Not too rosy, as you're mentioning there, Anthony. Our final guest analyst, A-Trades, another CIFR contender. So IREN, CleanSpark, CIFR, only $90,000 Bitcoin price here. So second or third lowest, I guess, on the list, Anthony. But A-Trades also predicted a pullback here in the miners, and I know has been loading up at these recent levels. Any additional comments on A-Trades picks?
Yeah, good picks. And like myself, we're both a bit conservative on the Bitcoin price. CIFR, we've talked about TeraWulf announcing a deal. CIFR, another company who produce good data centers. We could see them and that maybe announce something. They've bought more sites. They've got a shed load of pipeline of power, and we could see that happen there. We need an announcement though for that to deliver, because they're only on about, I think it's about 9 exahash in terms of self mining, growing a few more exahash by the end of the year, but not in the same sort of growth phase as the other two miners on the picks there. But CIFR at the moment, if you look at the share price, it's, I don't know, $3.60 today. It was as high as $6 literally about 6 weeks ago. So I think people are looking at CIFR as, it could return to those highs there. And yeah, it's a well-run company, produce great data centers, got this big Black Pearl site coming online next year, which will massively increase their hash rate. So they're only operating, like say, 9 at the moment, maybe getting to 12, 13 by the end of the year, but a massive jump next year when that Black Pearl site comes on. And looking at HPC as well. So if the market decides to rewrite that price quickly, we could see CIFR make moves there. But yeah, nothing at all wrong with any of those selections there on that screen.
Now, time will tell which of these analysts come through in top position. I want to get on to our picks as well, Anthony, as the grand finale here. But before we do, average Bitcoin price comes in at $95,492. Two interesting observations here, Anthony. This is almost directly in the middle of our two predictions, interestingly enough, and it represents nearly 50% growth from where Bitcoin's at right now. So, again, as the community as a whole, I guess general consensus here, very optimistic about Bitcoin. Do you think this is realistic, Anthony, or do you think maybe we have a little bit of bias thinking here as diehard Bitcoin fans?
Interestingly, I don't think anyone's got my top three and your top three, so I don't think the Bitcoin price actually matters in our case. It was only the tiebreaker. So there are some similar picks along the lines because you're going to have, people selecting, the likes of IREN and CleanSpark and another miner in their top three. So the Bitcoin tiebreaker would be relevant to some. But I looked down the list today and I didn't see anyone having the same three as me and you. So we're in a sort of safe spot there, irrespective of the Bitcoin price. But as I say, I chose all the eights there. I think eight's a lucky number in China, so I just decided to put the 5/8s in there. You've gone for the 5/9s, so you're all about the HPC 5/9s, and so there we go. It's and that's just that's not related. We just did them separately. It just happens that we came out that way there, but the correlation is uncanny. It's all a bit of a fun. I mean, I'm not as long as I win, I'm not bothered. As long as I win, that's all.
There you go. Well, you only need to win among hundreds of other people. I'm hoping you can pull through a win as well, Anthony, for credibility in terms of power mining analysis. Now, you already alluded to our Bitcoin price prediction, so I'll bring up our slide on the screen here. I'll give you the honors of going last, Anthony. Save the best for last. My picks, I came out with Riot, IREN, and CIFR. I'll give you a quick analysis as to my thinking here. So all of these three companies have pulled back dramatically from their highs this year. I think are around 50% down from the highs. Riot, I feel like, is a sleeping giant here. Very low market cap given the infrastructure that they have in place, the immersion technology, the scale of Corsicana, not to mention that 20% ownership in Bitfarms and market sentiment, I would say, is all-time low around Riot. So that one for me, Anthony, I think could be the game changer or wild card. Again, a contrarian pick. I haven't seen anyone else with Riot in first place. IREN, similar thesis. They continue to plug in machines, most efficient fleet in the market right now, and continuing to add exahash aggressively. I think they've got very blue skies ahead of them. And then third place CIFR, similar to IREN, I think there may be an HPC play here. I feel like there may be a big hyperscaler announcement and that Black Pearl site you came in with. So for me, Anthony, I think those three picks are a well-rounded group and may offer me an edge over the competition. Bitcoin price 99,999. You're right. I had HPC on the mind and just shy of that $100,000 milestone. So bring us home here, Anthony. Talk us through your three picks and why you chose these companies.
Yeah, IREN have been a success story over the last couple of years. They went through the issues with the debt with NYDIG. They've come through that. They've used the at the market offerings well to grow hash rate, and we'll get their update this week. But 21 exahash I think now energized. So that's a good rate when you consider where they were at the start of the year, which was probably hovering around 6 exahash. It's a massive increase already, and they're due to get to 30, and no one's going to bet against them going to 30 by the end of December. So that was one of the reasons there. The share price is about halfway from where it was at its all-time high back when we were in just after we got back from Dallas, I think, when it was $15.50. So June, it reached $15.50. Today it's hovering around $7.75. So that's literally half the price there. Riot, I'm in agreement with you, having gone to Corsicana, and believe you me, I've cringed at some of their updates over the last 2 years. They've been, disappointing to a certain extent. Yes, they brought in some of the energy strategy savings, so they were able to sell the power back to the grid, reduce their cost of power. Demand response credits also giving them cheaper power as well. So they've got a really good rate of power already this year. But the gap between those sales and the reduction in anticipated Bitcoin being produced is just getting wider. But we've seen a few green shoots the last few months. I'm expecting, really am expecting a big update for September. They're only operating about 14 exahash in August. And yes, August was a warmer month, and so therefore they curtailed more. But bear in mind, they had 23 exahash sort of plugged in. So it's quite a significant drop. And all the other miners as well, we're all mining in August. It's just that nobody had that sort of gap from where Riot were. So I'm expecting that number, to certainly get closer to 20 for the month, even hopefully get above 20 in terms of operating hash rate. And then carry on that all the way to the end of the year when they hopefully achieve their 36 exahash total. Core Scientific, yes, the Core Scientific share price has had a great run since June, since the announcement. They've still got this 118 megawatts option with CoreWeave, who might take them up on that. And if they take them up on that, and we know how much, that's effectively another $2 billion dollars in revenue with a, 78% net margin, that's going to impact the share price. So if we get an announcement from Core Scientific in the next few weeks when that option's due for renewal, it's any time now actually, that could impact the share price. And I don't think the market's factored in that deal in totality, which starts bringing in revenues next year.
Yeah, really interesting playing the PR or news cycles there, Anthony. And you and I were talking about that by very simplistic calculations, even using a PE of 15, you get market cap in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 billion for cores quite easily, not even looking at their Bitcoin mining business. So a very good pick there, Anthony. 5/8 in terms of the Bitcoin price. You're not feeling quite as confident as the rest of the pack here. What's your concern with Bitcoin? Do you think we're going to see some selling pressure? When do you think we're going to see that big breakout we've been waiting for?
I really hope it gets all the way up to where Sebastian is. I really do. Bear in mind, I went through 2021 listening to Plan B, and we're going to get to 100,000 by the end of the year. It got to 69,000. So maybe I'm just a little bit conservative. I know there's a lot of hype out there. This year is different. So this year is, in terms of the ETFs, have played a massive part. They've bought more Bitcoin, than has ever been produced in the year. So they've been eating up all that Bitcoin and buying more Bitcoin. So, I really hope I hope Sebastian's right, because we're all, I've got Bitcoin in my wallet, so that will do really well. And obviously the correlation with Bitcoin miners will do really well as well. So outside of the competition, I don't care if I come last if Bitcoin price gets 130 and some of these other picks do really well, because actually I've probably got most of these miners in my portfolio anyway. So
Sure.
it's a bonus. But I just, I just wanted to sort of like, be a little bit more conservative, not shoot for the moon straight away, but I hope we do go to the moon. That's what I'm trying to say. And actually, if you look at today's price at $61,000 a Bitcoin, that's another $27,000 between now, in the next 12 weeks. So that's a significant, that's nearly a 40% increase on where we are today. So it's not a small increase. It's still a decent size increase. We're up about 45% since the start of the year. So, we're looking at something similar between now and the end of the year in the last 3 months. So I don't know. Time will tell as to who's right, and that's why it's going to be great watching this go through with the hundreds of people that have entered the competition. Really, really impressed with the number of entries and the across all the platforms. Really looking forward to it, and those that missed out this time will look to probably do another one. Maybe do one on a regular basis. In 2025, because it's certainly galvanized the interest, and you need a bit of interest as when we're looking at Bitcoin price on a daily basis, not doing exactly what we're expecting. So we've always got the competition to fall back on and see if we're able to pick those gems out there that none of the analysts can pick. So looking forward to seeing how this goes.
Yeah, who doesn't like a little friendly competition? And there you go, Sebastian. We're all cheering for you in terms of the Bitcoin price, at least. You guys, there you have it. Miner Madness 2024 Q4 edition is out the gate. Make sure you sign up to the newsletter for updates every other week, you guys, and leave a comment in the section below letting us know how you're feeling about your picks in relation to the analysts or guest picks. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Riot and Jason last interview.